Hey everyone, this is Michael.
And this is Steven. And we are the Movie Bros React.
We sure
Well,
are.
guys, this is a very special Thursday night. Normally, Michael and I would be bringing you our favorite films, headlines, and top 10 songs. This would have been, 1989 is what would
Correct.
have been scheduled for tonight. But we like to keep you on your toes, and we're going to bring you something that is extra, extra special. 1989 can wait. In fact, it's already happened. So we can wait a little bit longer because tonight we're going to have our very first special guest interview and discussion. And it is a real honor and treat for us tonight. And Michael, I would like you to break the news to everyone who may be just finding this stream here and hasn't seen the picture yet. Who is our guest tonight for our first live guest?
Our guest is the famous Roger Christian. He was the set decorator for Star Wars, the third person hired by George Lucas. He worked closely with George Lucas and he won an Oscar on this. He also worked with Ridley Scott on the Alien movie and was nominated for an Oscar. And now he does a lot of directing. And he actually has a documentary coming up called Galaxy Built on Hope and a book called The Cinema Alchemist, which I'm halfway done with. I've been reading it, and it's interesting because it talks about his designing Star Wars and Alien, and I'm on the Star Wars part, and
Ooh.
it's very interesting. You talk about a wing and a prayer and string and tape. That's all he had. So,
He's a regular MacGyver, is what you're saying
oh
then.
my gosh, it's just crazy what he did.
That's
So,
awesome. Well, before we bring on our guest, Mr. Christian, tonight, we do want to let you know, of course, start sending in your questions if you have one. Um, you know, he's done so many things. So, feel free to send your questions in and we'll get to as many as possible. Michael and I have quite a few questions ourselves. So, but we'll always try to get as many of yours in as well. And as always, if you do have something really burning that you want to make sure that we cover with Roger tonight and he has a chance to address it on the screen, you can always send your Venmo super chat in and we will make sure you go ahead of everyone else to the front of the line and we'll get that done. And you'll also help out the channel. So it's a win-win. So feel free to do that should you choose to do so. All right, Michael. So without further ado, I think it's time, my friend, don't you think?
it is.
Let's do
Let's
it. Go ahead, my friend.
let's bring up Roger Christian, please.
Let's go. All right, here we go.
Hey,
There he
Roger.
is.
Hi,
Hey,
hello everyone.
hey, welcome to our channel. We appreciate you so much being here.
It's a pleasure, and be good to talk about all things Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I know for sure. Wow. So Michael, I think since you've already got to speak with Roger, I'm going to go first. I want
Okay.
to get my first question in.
Okay. Yep.
And then you can go next. So,
Okay.
all right, is that cool? All right.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, and this is kind of what I always love to explore and understand, is kind of the origin point of all this, right? So, what and I guess I have a two-part question. Number one, how did the how did the opportunity, maybe put it that way, come about to have this opportunity to work with George Lucas and on the original Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope? And then the second part to that is once it was all done and you got to watch the premiere, you got to see everything, did you have a gut feeling at all it would become the iconic standard for sci-fi that it still is today?
Well, I'll compress the times because in the book there's a lot of description of what I was doing. But
Okay.
I was with the designer John Barry in Mexico, Guaymas, a tiny fishing village, making a movie called Lucky Lady, and we were converting old Mexican buildings into running arenas and sets and things for this huge movie. 20th Century Fox didn't really want to do Star Wars. Alan Ladd Jr. said, we're going to do it. They analyzed how much Star Wars would make, which is what they did in those days. And they analyzed that it would make $12 million at the box office because no one was watching science fiction.
Wow.
And they then cut the budget by 3. And that's how much they offered the filmmaker. So he was offered $4 million if he could make the movie. They'd been scouring how to do it. Gary Kurtz had got an $8 million budget. UK was exactly half the price of America, and we had a lot of empty studios. So it was suggested by Gloria Willard Hike, who wrote Lucky Lady, who wrote American Graffiti, that because George was talking about a spaghetti western in space, he should fly down and meet John and I, which is how we met. He turned up. I was dressing an old salt factory. He came in, and I kind of fairly open with him because I said, when he told me what he's trying to do, and I said, I really haven't related to any science fiction movies, and I read a lot of science fiction. I personally liked a real world that was gritty and used, and I'd never seen it done before, which was, and I described it like an old car dripping oil and being repaired by the owner. I only found out when I got to London. In fact, I'd given him an exact description of the Millennium Falcon that he'd written. So we all got on incredibly well together, and we were in sync. So John Barry was the first person hired. I was the third person hired. They hired the DP in between, who actually, in the end, couldn't do the movie. And that's how we were then ended up in London, where it was announced that we only had $4 million to do the entire movie, which meant the art department budget was insanely low.
Wow.
And John Barry, he designed Clockwork Orange. He was still young as a designer, so he wasn't old and jaded, might be the word, although all the other art directors would resent it. But the difference is that, and this is George's talent, he did it across the board on the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
He knew I'd worked on a lot of films as an art director, set decorator. I'd done TV series at Randall and Hopkirk, which became cult classics. And I knew enough to do the job, but I didn't know enough to say, well, the only way we can do it is this, because it works. And John Barry was the same. So we got there. There was no money. George paid us for 4 months, just John Barry, myself, and Les Dealey, the art director. We had a tiny little studio in London, and we set about, when I'd done my breakdown of 10 pages of what we needed, and I thought, well, I can't do this. I've got to think of a different way. So I actually didn't tell anyone. I thought, you know what, my big peeve was sci-fi guns. Let's start there. So I went to the gun hire. I got a Sterling submachine gun, which I loved, and to me was a sci-fi weapon. Stuck some T-strip round it, put a couple of sights I'd found in the old store that we used in Ireland on nights firing, so they could see at night. And then I thought, well, he keeps saying Han Solo's a Western cowboy. So I found the Mauser, which was a German beautiful pistol with a wooden handle, stuck sights on the top of that, changed a few things, stuck an old flash repeller on the front. And I called John Barry. I said, you better get George over here, and either I'm on the right track or I'll just get fired. So I might as well get it over with. And then George loved it. And he stayed, actually. We were using super glue. My fingers were just covered. And we made Princess Leia's gun together.
Wow.
Sticking bits on that. And at the same time in the studio, Les and I had to make an R2-D2 work because there's no CGI. There was hardly any robotics. And there was certainly any form of radio control was pretty primitive. So George had cast all the little people, they're allowed to be called now, in England. And Kenny Baker was the only one strong enough, and he had a comedy duo, so we knew he was funny. And we built. And there was literally no money for wood. The carpenter, Bill Harmon, and I hired Bill because he made all the props for Monty Python. And if you ever watch Monty Python, like the Holy Grail, they couldn't even afford horses, so they had coconut shells to bang together. So he had some wood in the garage at home, and he brought it in. We built the barrel for him and the legs. He said, I can't make a top rod. Sorry, it's too complicated. I haven't got any tools. I haven't got anything. And so I found a lamp top in an old light store that had been thrown out, which we bought for 10 shillings, which is probably 75 cents. And it fitted, and we adapted it, and we got Kenny in it, and he couldn't walk. We stapled his boots inside the legs so that he could wear those, and that didn't work. I bought bits and pieces. I bought some old aircraft nozzles lights, and I was sticking those in just to give it a bit of a feeling. They're still there to this day. Also, that knife and fork, the little hands on him, I carved those at home with a penknife.
Oh, my goodness.
Bill stuck them in. And I bought, for some reason, with some bits of army junk, a fighter pilot's harness. And Bill stapled it inside, and Kenny could wear R2-D2 like a rucksack, and he actually walked 3 steps with George watching and Gary. And it's probably the most auspicious moment on Star Wars, because we knew he could have a movie, because if he didn't have R2-D2, we didn't have one. We knew we could do C-3PO. There's the famous Maria from Metropolis, and we knew we could make that work way better now with the right actor. And so that was the route forwards which led into the studios.
Wow.
And that's where the fun started. And I was telling Michael that I'd made by then Chewbacca's. I found that crossbow that I loved, the bowcaster, and I showed George because Ralph McQuarrie had a gun in his hands. And I thought this would be perfect for Chewbacca. George loved it. And I'd made all these different guns and different elements, and they had them put on a table the first day in January in the studio. And I was telling Michael, they had the first ADs and everybody. They picked up my Sterling submachine gun, which I'd made as a blaster, and threw it at me and said, "This is absolute crap. And don't you realize we're doing a science fiction movie for an American director?" And they went off to get me fired. And that's
wow.
That little anecdote tells you about the entire making of Star Wars for George, me, John Barry, and Les Dilly, and that's how it was. And me being me, and I'm very stubborn, and I just said, you know what, George and I are friends. We're making a movie I've always wanted to make, and I'm just going to carry on. And we did.
Wow.
And in fact, it was interesting to what recently I saw an interview that George had done with Christopher Nolan. They're talking about movie making. And George actually said it there. He said, you know, Christopher, there were only 5 people actually stood by me making Star Wars, and that was the art department.
Wow.
So cutting it short, we did so much. I mean, the making of it, we'd be here all night. But there's other stories we can tell. But
sure.
By the end of it, I mean, George was in hospital, exhausted, as you know, the tension and everything, and getting this thing made. And when I saw the screening for the crew in the Odeon in Tottenham Court Road, the cinema, the atmosphere went electric when that ship went overhead to start with, and all these naysayers and people have been putting us down, all were smiling and like, oh, it was their movie, and now suddenly they were all on side. Oh yeah, look,
of course
what we
it
did.
was.
And I always see, I grew up after the end of World War II. It was a grey, miserable place. There was nobody spoke. I was very insular, and I found my way out through King Arthur and legend and science fiction and all sorts of stuff. So I knew that if this got out, because they were all saying it'll never see the light of day.
Wow.
I knew if it got out, the lightsaber would be the icon of Star Wars, just as when you think about King Arthur, you think about Excalibur. So, you know, and I wielded Excalibur loads of times as a kid. So yeah, I thought it would be a success because for the first time the audience didn't have to question this fake science fiction landscapes and costumes and everything that was not real. They accepted it, and there it was, and they were in a real world, you know. And John Barry's masterstroke of taking George to Tunisia, there was Tatooine. All I had to do was dress in bits of technology out of my junk airplane scrap that I bought mountains of.
Wow.
And we made it look like a Tatooine.
Wow.
So that's a potted version of that.
It's fascinating. Amazing. Absolutely incredible, man. I just, you know, hearing this is like just, it's so surreal because, you know, I grew up watching Star Wars and I still watch Star Wars. And it's like, it's so, it means so much to the culture of entertainment across the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even by country, it's the world. And, you know, to hear you relay these memories and these stories of these things that I've seen my whole life and how they came to be, it's a little surreal, man. So it's a real honor. It's a real honor. I want you to know that to have you here.
You know, I was telling Michael before that's why I had to write the book. I was forced by the head of literature at Lucasfilm, David West Reynolds, who said, because John Barry died very young while he was working on Empire Strikes Back, he had meningitis. I'm the only one who knows every story about how it was made. George didn't know. He was too busy struggling to get his movie made. And so I was almost forced to write the book and now to make this documentary, because it's more, for me, it's more of a mentorship for everybody, because, you know, what does my son know? He knows huge Hollywood blockbusters, which are Star Wars, but the humble beginnings of where this all came from. And the last line in the book, which you'll get to, says, "Don't let anyone tell you you can't, you can." And that's the film industry, basically.
Oh, you ruined it for me.
Oh, there you go.
No. But it's so
you haven't
true.
got there yet. You're only halfway through. So.
But I mean, it's case in point. I mean, you've proven it. Like, you lived it. You've lived that. And, you know, I mean, like, we were telling this story about the parts for R2-D2 and like just going to get, you know, wood out of his garage. I mean, and when you see this amazing production on screen, you just don't fathom like that that is what happened. Like, you got that kind of, you know, it looks so perfect on the screen.
Well, R2-D2, a few weeks before we went out, I was called by John Barry with Les Dilly into the office, and he said, "Listen, the special effects supervisor was very like, oh, it's going to work. It's going to be fantastic." We knew it. And John Barry said, "It's not going to work, especially out in the desert. So make a lightweight fiberglass one, painted exactly as R2-D2. You can pull it along in fishing wire." And the first thing we shot ever was Uncle Owen and Luke buying the robots.
Okay.
And the first thing was R2-D2, and he crashed over. They were hitting other robots. It was a nightmare. It didn't work. And Gary Kurtz yelled out to Les and I, "Go and get the monofilament," which was translated as fishing wire. And we went to the truck, pulled out our secret one, put it down, and we laid down flat boards, put a bit of sand on the edge and pulled them along. And most of the 3-wheeled versions were pulled by fishing wire in that movie. And George is a very, very, very crafted editor. He knew exactly where he could cut and where he couldn't. But I always said, when you watch that first scene of them buying the robots, it's actually all about R2-D2. He's the voice and the storytelling of Star Wars. He's hardly in it because he couldn't be in it because he wasn't working.
I got you. But when he's in it, it's powerful and it's meaningful to the story. And the one character that we can't understand with his beeps and his all this stuff, but it doesn't matter because like we get it, get it, and see, and that's what's amazing in the execution of it. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
And C-3PO, the first time
Oh.
he ever put on that gold suit that Norman Reynolds came down, he'd really handled it. The first time he had the full suit on was when he walked on for the first shot.
Oh,
And-
wow.
Oh,
And the leg shattered and it cut in his foot, and they had to quickly tape it up. And film doesn't show, but honestly, there was gold tape sticking him together on that first.
Oh,
So
no.
it was
Oh my
that's why it
gosh.
was sealing wax and string, and it
Goodness.
was made of just determination to get it done somehow.
That
And
is determination. I mean, that is
Yeah.
like, that is straight up, we're going to do this and we're not going to let anything stop us. And I'm telling you, when I watch the movie, even now hearing it, it's so surreal because it's like, I'm shocked because it looks so perfect. It's like,
Yeah.
and the budget must have been, 150 million. It's like,
Yeah.
like all this stuff. And it's incredible to know
Yeah.
the
Well-
manual work, the taping it up and just doing it. But it doesn't look that way, Roger. It
No, I
looks
know.
beautiful.
Well, all credit to George. 100%. He pulled it through. He knew what he could get away with, and he made
Yeah.
it work.
Wow.
Mr. Christian, I was going to ask on R2D2, what percentage of the time was Kenny Baker actually in R2D2? Because I was reading that, when they had the remote control, it was so much stuff in there he couldn't fit in there. So, do you know how much of the time he was on screen he was actually in R2D2?
In the first one, he was in it when it not in three-legged mode because he couldn't get in then, but otherwise he was in it all the time.
Oh, wow.
When I
Mm.
when I took on directing the second unit on the Phantom Menace, and George said to me, "Listen, handle R2D2 and the robots," because he said I don't have patience for him. So I went down to the workshops and I looked at this beautiful radio controlled R2D2s that would work and everything. Now everything had changed so much. But
Mhm.
I said, "Oh, what about Kenny?" Because they booked him and they said, yeah, he's going to come and work it. And I said, "Have you had him in this?" No, it'll be fine. And I said, "No, it won't be fine." And I went and got a call to Kenny and got him down there, and he wouldn't fit. There was so much radio control. And in fact, on the Phantom Menace, we were in Tunisia. He spent the entire time by the pool in a thong, getting brown as a berry.
Oh.
When
I
he
love
first
it.
came up to Elstree Studios, I read a little snippet of it, and he drove up in what kind of car?
He'd made so much money, not from Star Wars, but from doing conventions and expos, that he bought himself a Rolls Royce. And it was
Wow.
a beautiful Corniche, and he'd had it adapted so that, the pedals and everything, he could work it. That was the first thing he did. I didn't even get him in the studio. He said, come with me. And he took me around Leavesden, which is the old aerodrome, in this Rolls Royce. He was so proud of himself.
Oh,
seems
And
like he was a really nice guy.
Yeah, he was. And I said, you see all that struggle? And, he
Yeah.
quit once, and then we had to get him back and everything. And I said, you see, it was worth it now.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. And I just got to ask you, like, when's the last time that you actually watched Star Wars: A New Hope? Do you recall? Like, has it been recent or has it been
No,
a
it's
while?
recent. No. And when I was writing the book, I had to watch it all again. I'm doing my own research, and I'm
Mhm.
looking at all the scenes and everything because I have a very good memory, thank goodness. But
Yes.
I had to watch it, and I showed my son it. So pretty recently, and doing the documentary, I had to go through it again.
Yes. Well, I asked that to you, Mr. Christian, because I just wonder, all this time that's passed, how did you feel, or how do you feel when you sit back and watch it now? Do you still, obviously you remember everything, but what do you feel inside? If you could just let us get a glimpse into the emotional side, what do you feel when you watch it now?
Well, for me, and I've written this book. I've done a new one now called We Can All Be Heroes, and it's based on the Luke Skywalker spiritual journey and mine, and Joseph Campbell. And Star Wars is the perfect myth.
Mhm.
Because of Joseph Campbell's mentoring, George had the knowledge to construct a perfect myth for the cinema age. No one's ever done that before because they didn't have what George had. So I watch it with knowing that this movie is, I think, arguably the favorite. I know a lot of fans like Empire, which is George's least favorite movie.
Is it really?
Yeah, because it's an adult movie. George made his movies for 9 years old. That's the target audience, and it's brilliant, Empire Strikes Back. But George, if you look at Return of the Jedi, which came next, it's got Ewoks. It's much more kind of kids fun, which adults like as well. So I look at this first Star Wars, and I'm really proud to have kind of just fought against everything to get this made and buy airplane scrap and find junk pieces to make things out of, and to have achieved the result that is actually connected to the world like no other movie ever has, and I don't think ever will. That's because it gets to the subconscious correctly, which is what myths are intended to do and help us grow as individuals. So that all comes into it for me. It's a lot. I think it's just a perfect movie for the age.
Well, and I'm going to just add on to that and say, you can have a brilliant story, but if it is not executed brilliantly as well, it's not going to have the impact that you want. And I want to say the work that you have done, or you did on this, and your team and others that you worked with, let me tell you, that is just as brilliantly executed as the writing, because it had to be that way or it would not have had the impact. It would have been a movie that we would have talked about like, oh, the potential of Star Wars, but just didn't hit it. No, it's not the conversation, right? It hit it on all marks.
Yeah, it's true. And it's like when, you do a period film, there's books, there's paintings, you know what to do. When you're presented with a science fiction movie, there is nothing to reference. All I had was World War II bombers. I went on a submarine and had a look inside an old submarine inside it. And those kind of things that are engineered and are real. And was in my mind every minute of making the Millennium Falcon work, that no one should question this wasn't a ship we'd gone out and found and hired and rented that had been pretty knocked about and used a lot.
Wow.
So I have a quick question. Scott has a quick question for you. He asked you some questions last time. He said, what was your biggest yay, it worked moment on Star Wars, or any movie that you worked on?
There was almost every day with everything that worked. But I certainly that wooden dowel idea that I had on the lightsaber, because no one had ever done it, and the only way to put anything like that into a movie was to animate it with rotoscoping, hand by hand each frame. And I had this idea which the DP said, nah, that'll never work, just throw it out. And George overrode him and said, no, try it. And I painted the rod with front projection paint, and it picked up light. It kind of gave a glow on set that they could animate into. And I was inside going, when I was watching the DP, who was such a grump, thinking, yeah, that worked.
You stuck it to him, huh?
There were two things, actually. And the other one is, because no one really knows this, we had a tradition, because we were working, it was 7 days a week and all hours of the day and night. I never had a day off ever. We would meet the art department in my office, where I had tea bags and a kettle, and we'd have a cup of tea at 7 a.m. And I said to them, when they were talking about C-3PO and how to do the eyes, and they always either did it covered over, you couldn't see, or you could sometimes see the actor inside it. And I said, look, I've got an idea. I was watching something last night on TV, and they had the witnesses where they go and look at the suspects through a one-way mirror. And I said, why don't we get it? And they said, oh, that's a good idea. Roger, you handle that. I had to do the Millennium Falcon, every weapon, the robots, the land speeder. I mean, I thought, oh, why did I open my
Trash
mouth?
compactor, right?
Yeah. So I then, the genius idea of Ralph McQuarrie was these eyes lit up. And I got a little company to one-way mirror me plexiglass, and I got a company to brass the flutes, and I got it all done. I thought, how am I going to illuminate these? And we tried like Christmas tree bulbs and everything. They got hot. I couldn't do that. And by weird chance, I saw a documentary, and it was on the first camera they'd ever put down inside a human being. And I called my buyer in and said, listen, these can't get hot. You've got to find them. And he searched hospitals. He found them. And I put 3 of them in the lights, and we got a battery. Somehow we hid inside him. I don't know how we did it, but we got a battery pack inside C-3PO, and they lit up. And they're still there now to this day. That's how we did it.
Huh.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Amazing. And you mentioned the land speeder. I just have to ask you about that real quick. What was the inspiration for the land speeder? I got to hear how that came about, and how'd you get that from concept to Luke jumping inside and sitting down?
It's all the genius of Ralph McQuarrie. There were 6 paintings of Ralph that George brought to London. In there is everything on Star Wars you needed to see. And the first one, John Barry had read the script, and we thought, this is going to hover. How are we going to do this? So that was the second thing we did before the movie started. And Bill Harmon, the carpenter, had some wheelbarrow wheels. So he brought those in that we could stand it on. And we found polystyrene, and he used to go around the studio and scrounging bits of polystyrene and stuff. So we made this big one that was a 4-seater, because in the script it has Obi-Wan Kenobi, it has R2-D2, C-3PO, Luke. And then George came down and said, no, it's way too big. Luke would have a little sports car, and it's all beaten up. So we made 3. There's a picture in the book of it. And we made 3 of them. They got smaller and smaller until we got the size right. And then they tried hovercrafts, and it's just so unstable. It wouldn't stay still.
Okay.
And again, I saw there were tiny cars in Britain called Ogle, which are beautiful little sports cars. They were tiny on the road, and that company was actually not far from the studio. So they contacted them, and they agreed to build it in time, because we only had 2.5 months before shooting. We had no time. We had to farm everything out.
Goodness.
Yeah, a movie like this should have a year.
Yeah.
And they took the Reliant Robin, which is famous in Dr. Bean, in Mr. Bean, which is a 3-wheeler, and cut it off the top and built it. And in fact, if you look inside the Reliant Robin, the dashboard, everything is the land speeder. It's the same. We didn't change it.
Interesting. Okay.
And that worked. They got it, and it would work, because then you couldn't really see the front wheel. In the desert, I came up with another. I kept coming up with these things, and I said, you know what? The desert, when you watch, there are always a mirage. They're all over the place. And I said, why don't we hang a mirror at 45 degrees? It'll hide the wheels and it'll reflect the desert. And then I said, let's pick some dust. So I got an old broom, and we tied it on the front, and it worked. This thing was driving through the desert. And then
great.
George rotoscoped some of them afterwards, because the thing, it was done like that. And then they built a huge arm that would swing round when he landed or took off, and that kind of bounced for him to jump off it. That's how we did it.
Okay.
So you doing that made it look like it was floating, or had they planned on making it floating the whole time?
No, it couldn't float. There was no way to do it. It had to be on a huge pivot rig that could be kept out of the camera. It worked.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Little ingenuity there. A
Yeah.
lot of
A
ingenuity.
lot of ingenuity on everything. My goodness.
Britain is kind of has a history of crazy inventors. So when you go back, Brunel, I mean, all sorts of people doing crazy things. So I think we have a tradition of doing it.
That's awesome.
It is.
I have
Go
a
ahead,
quick
Mike.
question.
Go ahead.
So I was reading and it said that during like George came up and gave you the whole script of Star Wars, and it was called Journal of the Wills,
Yeah.
and everybody else would only get like sheets. But since you were the set decorator, you had to
Yeah.
have the whole thing from front to end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you keep the original script?
I had one, and I think some point we were clearing out everything, and I think I sadly sold it.
Oh, okay.
And somebody just contacted me who's got it because he wanted to know what the notes were inside it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is
Wow.
that's crazy.
So-
Okay. And like a second part of that is, did you keep any of the drawings? I know you talk a lot about how they were doing rough sketches and drawings on the back of papers and stuff.
No,
for
the
like
only one I did, I made everything in my office with super glue and pieces of junk that I would collect. I got so much I had to move to another office and clear it up again. The only thing I drew out was the Luke's binobins, the binoculars. And that I drew versions of them because I was trying to figure out how I would do it. But in the end, I ended up getting 3 junk camera pieces from movie cameras and still cameras and stuck them all together with super glue and stuck some lenses on the front and made it work out of junk because I knew there was no way or money that I could do the usual, design it, they draw it up, it would go to a workshop and get made. We didn't have that capability.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
There's something that I love about, I still do, I've always loved in the X-Wing fighters, the helmet that like Luke wears, and just the design and the look of those helmets are so tight. They're really sharp. And I don't know, I just think they look really cool. And I'm just curious, like, the insight, maybe some of the thinking behind the design of the helmet that they wore inside the X-Wings.
They were again from Ralph McQuarrie, but of course that was the costume designer who did.
Oh, that's true. That'd be a little different. That's true.
Yeah.
You're right.
He was all the time in my office getting bits and pieces to stick onto his costumes and sets and everything. And he was always the time. And John Barry was drawing up for him because it was the first film he'd ever actually designed. He was a costume in charge of huge movies like Gandhi, and he could do all of that and weapons. Wow. But it was the first one, and he had no idea what science fiction was. So he was always in our office. We worked as a team with him.
That's awesome. Can I ask you one more Star Wars question? We spent this whole thing on Star Wars. But you know what? This has just been amazing. What would you say is, and like, if you could just, I don't know, I guess I'm trying to say is like, what are you most, I'm not going to say the word proud of, because you should be proud of all of it. But like, is there one in particular that you made? And I'm wondering I think I may have an idea that you created, that you had your hands in, that you look back of most fondly, let's say, I'll say most proud of, most fondly from Star Wars, that like when you watch the movie and you see it on screen, you're like, yep, that's the one. That's the one I really.
Yeah, it's the lightsaber handle.
I figured that was it.
Yeah. I loved it. And, it's the symbol of the Jedis. It's a mystical object, and finding this Graflex handle that I could have used it as it was. It's such a beautifully designed for a purpose object, but I like everything, I changed it to give it my own kind of look that was a Star Wars look, and stuck the T-strip that I had left over from the blasters that I made, the first thing we ever made, and stuck those for a handle, and a bit of a bubble strip from an old Texas Instrument calculator, stuck that in the grip, and we stuck it wasn't used, by Luke in Tunisia. So George just needed it hanging on his belt, so we put an D ring on the end of it, and that was it really. And it's kind of they tell me now it's the most iconic prop in the history of cinema.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Plus-
I can't think of anything else you can compare to that.
No. And I
No.
made it for about $15. I think that's all we paid for the Graflex handles. We paid £800. We had 33 of them.
And now they go
overall.
for $200, $300, $400 now.
No, thousands.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah,
You can't get
thousands.
one now. The same one.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
thousands.
Yes.
Steve, ask Mr. Christian what Obi-Wan's lightsaber was made of.
There was
Oh.
part of a Rolls-Royce engine. I think it's the Merlin engine,
That's so
and there was
awesome.
a grenade
What?
handle.
Oh my gosh.
And bits like that of junk that we found that just looked right, and that it
That's so
made it work, because
cool,
that was the first one used actually practically on Star Wars, because in the
Wow.
cantina he
Mhm.
brought it out and did it.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Wow. It's phenomenal, man. Just phenomenal. I don't know, Michael. I'll let you ask some other questions, because I think
Okay.
I'm going to continue on Star Wars. I know there's just so much other stuff we can
All
talk
right.
about.
This is, if I was reading correctly in your book, this, I just want confirmation. Tatooine wasn't a made up name. It was actually the name of an ancient village in Tunisia.
yeah, that was that's actually, we used that village. That was one that John Barry showed George, which are these grains which we couldn't use, but George used it in Phantom Menace. That's where Anakin was brought up, and the scenes of his mother when she has to let him go.
Oh, okay.
That's Tatooine. And George loved the name, so he changed it. And I forget which name was in the script, but it was different. And he changed it to Tatooine. He liked it.
I always thought it was a made up name by George Lucas.
No. No, it's and I've got the picture of it in the documentary of the
That's
actual
fantastic.
sign where we were.
Okay.
Hey, well, now I'm just remember real quick the documentary. Do you have a release date yet? On when do
No.
you think it'll be ready at all? Is it next year? You think?
No,
or-
I got it made the same way we made Star Wars. There was the editor and I in the middle of COVID, landlocked. I couldn't go and interview anybody, and I made it in
Oh.
virtual studios. I wouldn't give up, and we were able to film actors.
Great.
Film David West Reynolds. He was in America. I had Bill Harmon in London. I had the David French, where I found the lightsaber, the manager. He was telling the whole stories about me finding it and everything.
Nice.
So we did a kind of special that had a few people that were able to buy, but it's now broken into 6 parts,
Okay.
which was the intention, because the Blu-ray special, if we can ever get it out that way again, it's 2 hours 20 minutes.
Wow.
So it's 6 like half-hour episodes now. So
Okay.
they're now trying to place it. That's the thing. So
Yep.
whenever it gets to somebody can sell it,
Wow.
then we'll. And there's a big demand for it, but they've got
Yeah.
to get out there and get it into a streamer somehow.
Yes, definitely.
I know.
That would go viral. That would blow up if
I
that
know,
was
it's-
available. Oh my
Of
gosh.
course it will. Yeah. So
It'd be
anyway,
incredible.
it's a
You
bit like this. It's a whole same story of Star Wars. Got to get someone to believe that it's actually going to work.
You could sell it from you could sell it from a website or something.
Yeah, I know. Well, we started that, but they had to stop that because now they want to try to get it to a streamer to get it
Yes.
out more. So, but
Yeah.
in the end, it'll go back to being sold.
I'm shocked Amazon or Netflix hasn't snatched it up.
Yeah,
Well, you got Hulu and
yeah.
so many of
And
these
Disney
streaming-
Plus too.
Disney Plus.
has
Plus,
got
for goodness sake.
Oh my gosh.
nothing.
Wow.
Nothing of this. The history of how it was all made is on there.
Yeah.
So
Maybe because Kathleen Kennedy didn't have a hand in it. I don't know.
Oh goodness.
yeah,
Well,
I don't want to say a
let's
word.
don't go down that road.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think, yeah. Well, I tell you what, the day that does get worked out, because I believe it will.
Yeah,
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be
Well, it's a
incredible.
legacy for ever, for everyone who
sure.
wants to study it and go back and see and where this whole thing originated, because it's growing. It's not getting smaller, Star Wars. It's every
No.
generation.
Mhm.
It's expanding. So it had to be done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is my last Star Wars question,
Okay.
and I'll go on to some other stuff that you've done. If you were given the opportunity to direct a Star Wars movie, my personal preference would be that they do a Star Wars movie that went way in the past, like the Old Republic or way in past. What if you're given the free reign to do any kind of Star Wars movie you wanted to as a director? What would you do it, and what would you do?
Yeah, I mean, in a heartbeat, it would be like the be finding the Holy Grail for real. Yeah, no, of course I would love to. And having directed second unit, both Return of the Jedi and being trusted by George to film a lot of his movie for him and the Phantom Menace, I would go way into the past. I would use like the samurai influence, which is what was the first influence to George, and spaghetti westerns are just new interpretations of the samurai movies, and I would go back to that, way into the past of where the real origins of this came from and the idea of the Jedis. I think would be really interesting for people, and it would have those echoes, of Lord of the Rings and
Yes,
this kind of feel to it. So yeah, that's what I would do.
that would be so fantastic. I'd be number one in line,
Yeah, me
ready
too.
for it. Okay, I promised I wouldn't talk about Star Wars anymore. So, so 1979, after Star Wars is done, you worked on The Life of Brian and also Alien at the same time. That must have been a very busy year for you.
Yeah, I didn't have any time off, and Alien came up. The Life of Brian, actually, we were 2 weeks ready to go down to Tunisia, and it got cancelled. And Ridley had already started Alien. He'd hired Michael Seymour to design it, and a set decorator who was a dear friend of mine who was really more into period films and stuff. And so I got a call the day that it went down. I was in the office of Life of Brian, and Ridley called me and said, "Get your backside down here to Shepperton now. I need you." So I went, read the script, and I knew Ridley. I'd art directed commercials for him. So and I thought, wow, this is going to be amazing. So I got hired on the spot and just got stuck in. And another one, it was under budgeted. There was no time. They cut $600,000 out of the budget about 6 weeks before, just when I was starting.
Oh, man.
And we had to make it work again. So they asked me, Ridley said he wanted a space truck, like an army truck in space that was very used. So I got my 3 prop guys. I trained how to do the Millennium Falcon. They all hired them immediately, and we just got stuck in to make this kind of army truck in space.
Wow.
The Nostromo, right?
Yeah, we got it right, I think, that one, the whole ship.
Oh my
I just
gosh.
loved it. And it was, Ridley wanted those shots at the beginning, handheld, going all around the ship. So it was built on 2 stages, and you went in one small gap, and that was it. You had to go around the whole ship. It wasn't like sets you normally see that were open. This was lit internally, everything. It was just amazing. It was really like being on board. And I inherited the bridge, which was an absolute nightmare of coordination between effects and design and the art department and costumes, everything. It was a mammoth undertaking that I didn't think would ever end, but we got it done.
So
I loved that set.
They cut 600,000 off of the art.
Yeah.
direction.
Well, yeah, because on a movie like that, there aren't any stars in it. The money is all on the art department. That's where they cut most of it from.
That's a
So
shame.
we just had to. Well, in fact, the when they wake up and the flower pods open, that set went out. That wasn't able to be done. We had a Spanish art director, and Ridley and I and we talked about it, and the effects boys had those canopies and they had some pistons, and we secretly built it without 20th Century Fox knowing, so that Ridley could have it and film it. And,
Wow.
and the Space Jockey set, that was out. They said, you can't do it, you can't afford it. And Ridley stuck to his guns. Absolute credibility to him. And they figured out a way to build half of it on a turntable so that it could turn, and you do the reverses against the same background because you wouldn't know. Stuff like that was going on. It wasn't any more easy.
Goodness. Good thing they had you there, because man, after Star Wars, you could do anything at that point.
I guess so. Yeah.
I think, yeah. We got a question from Scott again, and he would like to know, did the actors actually eat the space food in the cafe before the alien busted out?
Yes.
No spoilers. Yes.
Yeah. I got all cereals. I got different ones that things look cool and different, and I filled up everything in there. And yeah, they were eating it.
Oh man. Okay.
Listen, actors are always hungry. If you put a food out, they will eat it. Believe me. They don't need any encouraging. They're not going to say, "No, I'm not eating. That's on the set." No, they got struck. They get stuck straight in.
Oh man. Oh my gosh. And that was so. Looking back at, I'm gonna ask you kind of the same question I did for Star Wars. So I just love to get your insight for Alien as well. You know, when you look at Alien, is there, you know, what are you most proud? I keep saying proud of.
The bridge,
but yeah,
the
bridge. Yeah,
that set is incredible. And when they crash, we got everything working. That it was all practical. There's no CGI. There's no additions to that. The opening shot, and again, this tells you how these things were done, is the graphics from the computers are reflected in the visor of the helmet. And those helmets, we adapted motorbike helmets. And there was no way to do it. And I said, Ridley, you know, we were doing, and Derek Jarman is a famous painter in Britain who designed actually a huge film for Ken Russell, who I knew. And we were doing stuff with 8mm projectors onto walls and stuff. And I said, you know, I think if we project it for real on it. So again, Ridley just said, do it. Nobody said, oh, don't be stupid. And they got me some computer, which were just about invented then when Alien was being done. They got me some readouts and we put it onto a 16mm projector. And I was holding it on a camera stand and changing the focus and changing the depth and got it reading, and Ridley filmed it. And that's what went into the movie as a test before we started shooting. So stuff like that was going on. There's so many stories. I don't have time now because I'm going to get my son on my back in a minute.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, we are definitely winding down, folks, with Mr. Christian tonight. It's been so kind of you to spend this time with us tonight. And I only have really one more question for me tonight, and then we'll go ahead and start wrapping things up. And it's regarding this wicked little movie called The Cinder. And, you know, I'll tell you something. I like the casting. Casting was great. And these nightmare sequences, man, I'm telling you, it's just a trippy movie. And I would just love to hear your thoughts on your experience directing that, because Roger directed that film, guys.
It was another, I don't know why, it was so difficult. I had a producer who was a monster, and I was trying to keep all the tension away from the actors and everything, and trying to get it made. And he wanted it more like a blood splattery movie, got screaming at me, more blood. And I'm going, no, it's psychological horror. And we were making up the nightmares, like the rats coming out of the mouth.
Yes.
That wasn't in the script. We made that up, and then
Man.
other stuff was, and it was a great script. And I love psychological horror.
Yep.
It wasn't. It was absolutely probably the most difficult thing I've ever done to direct it and hold it together. But I got
Wow.
it made.
Mhm.
You know, and then Paramount dumped it, and it hardly got out,
Oh.
despite the fact that the LA Times said this is going to do the same as Omen business. It
Mhm.
opened in Toronto, and the main Globe and Mail, which is the main paper in Toronto, said, you know, when a film arrives in this city without the courtesy of a press screening, this time you're wrong, Paramount. And they said I was a return of Hitchcock.
Wow.
And then, if you may know, but Quentin Tarantino
Mhm.
just took it up. It's his favorite movie of the year it released.
Wow.
I met Guillermo del Toro through it. It's
Mhm.
one of his favorite movies, and it's become a cult classic. I wish it had gone and done the box office that we
Yeah.
thought it would have done, because I could have then gone on in that genre, which I love.
Yes.
I watched with
Me too.
audiences and getting people really scared.
Yes. Yes.
Without acres of blood and without all this stuff,
Mhm.
but with a story. And it's a very
That's right.
interesting story. The writer was very interesting. It kind of was about his childhood. I met Alan Pakula. It opened the Avoriaz Festival of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Animation, which was the biggest science fiction festival in the world. It was in Avoriaz in France, and it was chosen to be shown by
Wow.
Jacques Chabrol, who was one of the great French filmmakers. And I only found out when I was in the coach going up, it was actually chosen to be the opening film. And I met George Miller, the Mad Max director, who's a huge fan of it, through it. And I kind of got redeemed. I thought, wow, I haven't done wrong.
Mhm.
People are really appreciating this movie.
Yeah.
And it became a kind of cult classic because of that. But Alan Pakula came to the table. I was downstairs. I was even put in a bad hotel. I wasn't even included where all the other filmmakers were.
Oh, goodness.
And then when they saw the reaction, I was invited to dinner. This was a big thing. And so, blow me, I'm at dinner, and then this word goes out, Jim Henson and Gary Kurtz want to see you, because their film that they made closed the festival. You'll know
Wow.
what it is, the beautiful science fiction film. So they came down and were hugging me and congratulating me, and I could see the Paramount execs looking like this. Then George Miller,
Mhm.
and then Alan Pakula. They said, Alan Pakula, now I was being fed
Ah.
really good food. Alan Pakula wants to speak to you. Now, Alan Pakula directed What All the President's Men. I mean, legendary director. I was in awe of him. I went up the top and he looked at me and he said, was this film hard to make? And I said, is it show? He took me to lunch and he helped me so much.
Oh, that's
That's
fantastic.
awesome.
And he said, it's, it doesn't change, Roger. It's the same. So you just get used to it. But I'm very
Wow.
proud of that movie.
Yeah.
People kept saying we should remake it, and then you think, why remake something? But
I know.
it's and I still would have liked to have kind of done some more in that genre, actually.
That would have been
well
amazing.
done, yeah.
Yes. Well, just so you know, in case you haven't looked lately, it's currently at 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's how high it is.
Oh, it is. Oh,
That's
good.
really high on Rotten Tomatoes. That's awesome. So I'm telling you guys, everyone listening and watching the replay, go check this out. It's called Descender from 1982, directed by our guest Roger Christian, and it is a wild ride, and I highly recommend checking it out for sure. And I just got to say one thing, Roger, I don't know how you did the bathroom scene with the bleeding mirrors. But
For real.
it was brilliant. Yeah, look, you had to,
I
right?
did. I said, if you make the glass, and they make glass that could crack, and they put a plunger that they could hit the grips behind,
Ah,
and we
okay,
put blood sacks behind it, and it
gotcha.
worked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
worked great. It's
Wow.
awesome. I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing.
I love that.
Really
scene.
good looking
Yeah.
visual. It's like fantastic. So well done. So well
And
done.
the actor that had such wonderful actors. I mean, Shirley Knight,
Sure.
she got an Oscar for the Rain People, that Coppola's film. And she got, I don't know, 3 or 4 Tony Awards on Broadway. She was unused.
Wow.
Alan gave me a hug at the top of the stairs when I met him, and he said, "That's for Shirley Knight. She's one of our finest actresses. No one was hiring her, and thank you for giving her such an interesting role."
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Well, Roger, it's never too late to do another one. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know that. I know
Never too
that.
late.
I'm still, yeah, no, I know.
Hey, Mr. Christian,
right.
I had a quick question. I know it's getting tight, but my question is really quick. In the life of Brian, how much blowback from the religious people in England was there due to the style of the
Huge.
movie?
It was banned.
Oh, it was
And-
banned? I didn't realize it was banned.
Oh, it was banned in loads of cities when it opened. It became, I think that helped it to be such a success. But no, it was banned. They were saying, you can't do this. When that's how it collapsed. And I'm grateful because I got onto Alien. But that was because Lord Delfont, who was financing it, read the script only a few weeks before we were to leave to shoot. And he cancelled it on the spot. It was that George Harrison funded it.
Oh, I saw that. I saw
Yeah.
George Harrison.
He
was
mortgaged
in the
his
movie.
house and used money that had to go to the tax people as a tax write-off, and he funded the full movie.
Wow.
Yeah. So it has a lot of history, that one.
Yes.
Wow. And
We
real
can
quick,
do part 2 if you want, then because I ought to get back to get him to bed.
Yes.
Otherwise he's going to be.
Yes, definitely.
I'll be punished in the morning because he'll be grumpy.
Well, everyone in the chat, I'll just kind of all saying thank you so much as well. They're really enjoying it, and that's a true honor to see a legend like yourself. And everyone is saying the same thing. So we do too, Mr. Christian. It's been an honor, and really appreciate you making this time to spend an hour with us tonight. It's really made our week, made our night.
Very good. Well, we can do one on the Sendron and other things. You can do a
If you ever
part
want to
2.
do
a
a live watch or another interview, we'd love to have you.
You can do a director's cut.
There
Yes.
we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
All right.
guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Not
Christian.
at all.
Michael, you
Good
just
to
take
meet
care,
you.
and good to meet you too. And we'll see
Yeah.
you soon. Thanks
Okay.
again.
Yeah.
good
Hello
night.
to everybody. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. That was awesome. Guys, how about that? Isn't that great, Mike? What a great time.
Yes.
What an amazing guy. Such a sweet man. What a great, you can just tell he's got a great spirit about him. And man, what's
Very
awesome
giving.
is, very giving and down to earth, humble. And, it's like, as we, get to meet people like this, and the folks I've met so far on my Craven channel, and you see these folks that have done so many things, and, they're still humble. They're still down to earth about it. And you just adds another level of respect for all these folks, man. And that's an Academy Award winning legend. That's
Yes.
someone like literally created everything, the lightsaber. I mean, you heard the stories. And if any of you came late, you've got to go back and watch the replay,
Yes.
because
Very much.
whoa.
He's lived it.
What's that?
He's lived it.
Yeah, he lived it. He did it. And the stuff you see on Star Wars, you're gonna want to know this information, because it's gonna change everything.
Yes.
Everything. Thank you, Heavy Metal Beer Club. Great to see you,
Thank you.
man. Good to see you both, if you're both here. And Denisha as well. And Scott, of course, great seeing you too, Scott. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for asking questions.
Yes, and John, thank you, John Best, as well. All right, and we had of course, Val is here, and Michael visited us for a little while from Movies and Beyond. Awesome. Hope you enjoyed it, Michael. That was awesome, man. That was a really great time.
Yeah, it was fun.
Great time. All right, guys. Well, we're going to cut you guys loose. It's been a fun stream. And Michael, any closing thoughts you want to say before we wrap?
Yes, I got one of my friends who thinks he's a Star Trek aficionado to agree to do a roundtable discussion of Star Trek versus Star Wars on a live stream on my Carbonite Jedi channel.
Nice.
So it'll probably be on a Saturday night.
Okay.
Since that's the only time he has off. Within the next month or so, he's trying to get all his people situated. So,
Okay.
but it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. And then this Friday, come on down and we're gonna watch Spaceballs on my channel. That'll be a fun thing. I haven't seen that in so long.
That's tomorrow night, right?
It is tomorrow night. I'm off a day.
That's
So,
okay. Yeah, tomorrow
yes,
night.
it is tomorrow night. And yeah, it'll be fun.
And that's at what time? 9:45 Central, right?
Yeah, 8:45 Mountain, 9:45
Yep.
Central. So
Okay. Spaceballs tomorrow night. I think I should be able to make that too, dude. So
awesome.
that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Rick
for
Moranis,
sure.
man, he's my favorite.
Yes.
And Harvey Korman's in it too, I think.
Is he?
Yeah. He's the one who goes into the, or is it, no, that was that, who is it that goes into the
Is it Harvey? He might, he does. Isn't he inside the cave or something?
No, I thought he was one of the bad guys.
I thought he was a marketing dude.
Oh, he could be.
Like cereal boxes and all that.
I just remember,
I can't remember.
What's his name? The guy who directed the movie,
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. He goes into a transporter and he comes back and his body's backwards and his head is forwards.
Yes, I remember that scene. Yeah, he's definitely in there. You're right.
So, yeah, it's
Thanks, Heavy
a lot
Metal Beer
of great scenes in that movie. It's really funny.
Sure.
So
it'd be great. It's gonna be a good time. One of my most favorite scenes is the opening scene. The ship that never stops.
Oh yeah,
you're like looking at your watch. It's like it's still going.
Yep.
It's beautiful. Like that's the kind of movie that we're in for. It's like, oh
it's
yeah,
great Star Wars parody movie.
Yes, it's great. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. And as far as the Craven channel, guys, I don't know. I'm streaming Saturday night, my usual time. Well, actually, probably earlier. I'm starting to dig these earlier times. That's going to get back to normal though. Next weekend, I'll probably be back to my usual 9 or 9:30. But anyway, I may start as early as 8 o'clock Saturday night. We'll see. So I'll stay tuned. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh man, apologize. Wow, Saturday night and tomorrow night. Like I say, I'm shooting for being on Mike's channel for the party or the watch party. So I don't think I may do another stream. I may do one before that for like an hour. We'll see. We'll play it later. And I don't know what I'm gonna do tonight. A little bit later. It's still early, so I actually may stream tonight for a little bit. I haven't decided. Mike and I'm gonna chat with Mike offline. We may have something we're cooking up. Michael, this would be a great night for a watch party here. It's early. We could reconvene in an hour and 15 minutes. And it's like the perfect night for it. It's just an idea. I know it's really short notice for everybody, but I don't know. I don't know if it's a movie that we've talked about. Several movies we've wanted to see here on the channel.
Yeah.
It's too bad Disorderlies. I wish we had already seen Disorderlies because that thing, man, my gosh.
Well, what 1988 movie was it that I'm okay with, comedy or sci-fi? Or I don't know. There's so much comedy movies.
There's a lot of comedies in the 80s that reign supreme. It's like We did Hamburger University, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did that one. I'm trying to find these old movie posters. If I still have them, I may have gotten rid of them already to make room. Yeah, I think I did.
Oh,
Dude, oh my gosh. Now, this was not 88, but I mean, I think anything in the 80s. I mean, Revenge of the Nerds.
Porky's.
What?
Porky's.
Oh
Porky's.
gosh, no, not Porky's. That was one of them though. Oh, the whole beer club is here. Okay, great. All right, awesome. That's awesome. All right, great to see you. Well, first of all, we've got 5 folks here right now that are still here that hadn't logged out. Who would be interested in a watch party for a movie at about an hour and 15 minutes or so from now, something like that? Is anyone interested? Would you come back if we did a watch party? What's the one that I saw 3 times with my dad that I want to do a watch party? Ooh. Oh, dude, that was Condor Man.
No.
That was Condor Man. Yes, that's the one. Good memory, Dino. Yep. 3 times he took me to that. Bless his heart.
Oh, Steve, you've seen I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's 90s, isn't it?
No, it's 88.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It was 88.
So I got Beetlejuice, Bloodsport, Child's Play,
No.
Cocktail, Coming to America,
No.
Die Hard, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Naked
No.
Gun.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's got my interest.
Rambo, The
Yeah.
Great Outdoors.
Yeah, I love that movie, but I'm not in the mood for that one yet.
The Serpent and the Rainbow,
Yeah.
They Live, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Willow.
Honestly, I mean, we'll see what you were thinking. For me, Naked Gun on that list is the one that stands out for me.
Mhm.
It's a fun, lighthearted. That's kind of what I'm in the mood for. Is that kind of vibe? Like Top Secret would be a great movie. That's another one.
Well, don't you have that wheel of fun, or what is that?
I have the random wheel. So if we came up with like 5 or 6 choices, or whatever, we could spin the wheel and see where it hits. Just make sure that it's ones that we really want to see.
Okay.
Heavy Metal says Naked Gun sounds fun. That's always fun. It's always fun. Denisha's going to come back for the watch party. Heavy Metal Beer Club's going to come back. Dino's giving the thumbs up, so I think Dino's going to come back. So that's 3 folks, and we can also invite some folks too that obviously, when we set it up, people will become aware of it. Weird Science, ?
Oh man, I love Weird Science.
Yeah, that's another good one. That's a fun movie. Ferris Bueller's a fun movie.
Yep.
But dude, there was a couple that we were like, oh my gosh, we've got to do a watch party. And I never wrote them down. I should have emailed myself what they were, because I never remember. I rarely remember. Let me go to Google.
I have 1982. That was Annie, Basket Case, Beastmaster, Blade Runner, E.T., Halloween 3, On Golden Pond. Oh, License to Drive. I love that movie.
What? What's it?
License to Drive. Dino says License to Drive.
That may have been one of them we talked about. I do remember talking about that. I mean, it's been ages.
The toy, the thing, and Tootsie.
Well,
I don't.
Nah, I'm not really feeling those. I think I'm trying to look at 1986 comedy.
Stripes. That's a great movie.
That's a good one.
Did you know that in Stripes, I read this earlier, it was one of John Candy's first movies.
Yep.
And when they go in there to cut everybody's hair, that Bill Murray and who was Ramis were such big names that they didn't cut their hair, but everybody else got their hair cut because they weren't really big names. And when John Kenny's coming out, he's actually upset. He's like so upset that his hair got cut that it's like
Yeah.
He's really showing emotion.
Wow, dude. I
Why
don't
you-
blame him.
Why are you laughing, Dino? I'm serious, man.
I don't blame him. It takes a while to get that hair back.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Dragnet in 87. We've got what else is in 87? Disorderlies. Oh gosh, that movie was so good. I'm just sitting by the year real quick, doing a quick scan.
So far we got Naked Gun, Weird Science,
Yeah,
License to Drive.
yeah.
What else did you say?
I'm still looking.
That's 3.
That's 3 that are solid. Let's see what else. I'm poking around here in different years. Hold on.
I'm gonna have to edit this video and just stick it up there as a regular video on our channel. Since we got so much of this of us, just us on the end.
Oh gosh, that's right. We're on there. Everybody watch the interview link. And we're here we are doing this. That's gonna be like, oh my gosh. Yeah, we're gonna have to. Yeah, I agree. We'll have to. Yeah, agree, what you said. Yeah. Spinal Tap. Revenge of the Nerds is 84.
Okay, that's another one.
That's a great comedy. Top Secret I'd mentioned as well from 84. Guess what else came out in 84? I just now saw it.
What?
That's McCall.
No.
Night Patrol.
Oh gosh,
dude.
It's got funny parts, but I mean,
it's true. It's not like these other ones.
Yeah,
you're right.
What Dead Phone? Is that
Dead Phone?
Denisha says, make a suggestion. Dead Phone.
Dead Phone? Is that an 80s comedy? Dead Phone? And it could be. I'll have to Google. Man, when I saw Cheech and Chong, if it had been Up in Smoke, but it's still smoking, and that was not nearly as funny.
When was that?
Still Up in Smoke?
Yeah, didn't it come out, or was that in the 70s?
It's 70s. Yeah, it was the 70s. Because the sequel is 83. Well, you know what? Let me check. Just to make sure.
Yeah, before we do that, I got to put my girls down. So.
Oh yeah, it's getting. Yeah, you're right. So I'll tell you what, Mike, can you throw those titles in the private chat or something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have to do it right now. I usually put them down in about 30 minutes. So.
Oh. Okay. All right. I was hoping we could kind of try to solve this one if we want to. If we can. I mean, if we can.
Yeah.
I'm going through your scrolling. Scrolling.
Okay, so we got Naked Gun.
You keeping a record? You're typing these up
in private chat, yeah.
Okay. Naked Gun.
Weird Science.
Revenge of the Nerds. Top Secret. That might be it right now.
License to Drive.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think that's the last one right now. Oh my gosh, dude. Did we do a watch party for Who's Harry Crumb? We did, didn't we?
Yes. Yep.
A long time ago.
Mm-hmm. And that was actually our first video we ever did for this channel.
Yes, it was.
What about House with Michael Catt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out. Now this is 1989. I'm fast forwarding, but it's preview of sneak peek of things to come next week. There's 2 here, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Uncle Buck, Weekend at Bernie's, which are amazing movies.
Yeah, they're good movies. They don't tickle my fancy.
Okay. Well, I'll put them on my list then.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, we're not going to watch that right now, but Christmas Vacation was 89 too. Well, you know what's going to win in comedy next week?
What about Evil Dead 2?
Army of Darkness, dude. That's the one that was a real comedy.
Dude,
That was in the 90s, though, wasn't it?
I think
it was.
Army of Darkness was in the 90s, but Evil Dead 2
Yeah.
was in the 80s. And man, when he starts going nuts with that chainsaw arm,
Mm-hmm.
oh
Yep.
my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I'm putting it down.
No, that's horror. That's
Comedy.
still classified as horror, dude.
Comedy, man.
Dude, I don't know about that, Mike.
Well, if I'm saying it, it's
We're
comedy.
supposed to see comedies in the spirit of the rule.
There's something wrong with the world today. If I'm the one that's arguing for Evil Dead 2 and you're not.
I mean, because if I was on my Craven channel, I'd say, let's go, let's do it. What else? What else?
Evil Dead 1.
Oh, God.
Oh, what about girls? I have some good news and some bad news.
Night of the Creeps. Yeah, man, throw it on there.
Nope, that's horror.
No, it's not. It's a horror comedy.
All right, I'll put both of them. We'll
No,
compromise.
let's leave them off. They're both horror comedies. They're both mostly. If you got horror in the title, I'm just not in the mood for an Evil Dead movie, dude. Just to be honest with you.
that movie, Prisoners of the Sun, that Roger did. It's considered a horror comedy, or no, adventure horror.
Oh,
It was called adventure horror, which I'd never really heard before.
Adventure horror. That's a new one for me. There was also in '85. There was
Haunted Honeymoon.
Teen Wolf, Haunted Honeymoon.
All right,
that's one that we said we should watch, dude. Thank you, Heavy Metal Beer Club. That is absolutely right. Yes.
That's 1, 2, 3,
dude.
4.
I'm about to say this
5,
is Haunted
6.
Honeymoon, man. That's what I'm saying.
All right, we got 6.
Oh, do we need anything more than Haunted Honeymoon? Haunted Honeymoon is so good. Let me see if it's available for streaming first, to make sure it's even. It may not be able to be streaming anywhere. Oh man, it's not showing me. Why is it not for streaming? Why can't I?
Dude,
you know what? Let me go to YouTube and see if it's been uploaded.
If it's not available, what about Murder by Death?
I mean,
or was that back in the 70s?
That was 74.
Oh man,
yes, the year of my birth.
And it has Alec Guinness in it too.
I know. Haunted Honeymoon from '86. I can't believe I didn't have that on my list the other day. That is horrible. That's a travesty. Dang it! I can't. Oh, come on! Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Oh, so bad. Nobody's uploaded it to YouTube. Come on, man. All I've got is like clips. Come on. Oh, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. I was trying to see if I could find the movie upload. You know, sometimes you'll find them.
It's not on Amazon or Netflix or.
I'm about to go to Amazon now just to verify it. Let me do that real quick. I swear, dude, I haven't seen that movie in so long, and it's just a great little movie. You see, Prime Video. It's got a little murder mystery aspect. It's funny. It's everything.
So Roger just emailed me. He said, "Thanks, guys. Send me a link to the video, and he'll post it."
Oh, the video that we're going.
The interview.
Yeah. So we definitely need to splice out that interview and make it a long form video. Mm-hmm. Hallelujah. A long form video for the channel. For sure. Okay, cool.
I keep thinking about Kenny Baker in a thong.
Dude, that was amazing. Kenny Baker hanging out in a thong at the pool.
Oh, that caught me off guard.
Me too. Was not ready for that. Come on, Haunted Honeymoon. Come on. Oh, seriously? It's an Orion picture. You know, I bet you it's buried in a vault. Nobody has the rights to it. I guarantee that's what happened. It's not on Amazon Prime, and thing
you
is, when I went
serious?
to,
You're serious? It's not on Amazon Prime?
no,
Usually they have everything.
I know. That's why. Well, see, when I went in and put Haunted Honeymoon, Google doesn't even give me a watch option. Let me try. It usually gives you options where you can stream it. Haunted Honeymoon streaming. Does anyone in the chat know of a location? You guys may know of it, but I'm not finding it anywhere. Haunted Honeymoon is not available for streaming. According to Just Watch, it's not available to stream. Well, that just really, really stinks. Doo-doo. Okay. Well, that really stinks. All right. Let's replace it with something else. One more movie. Let's see, guys. What is a great 80s movie? 80s comedy. '80s comedy movies. There's so many good ones too. Who here in the chat? Who in the chat has seen like the first? Like any of the Police Academy movies? You guys seen the? You fans of the Police Academies? They were the best years, guy. Heavy metal, 100%. I 100% agree. There's no other era like it. They're just. It's a special decade, man. The movies from the 80s have a certain charm about them. There's nothing like them. There's not. I don't think we'll ever get in movies like those movies again. It's just that era of time we lived in. Oh, come on now. Caddyshack. Airplane.
That was a pretty good movie.
Yeah. Private Eyes was good too. It was a cute movie. The Apple. Oh my gosh.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah.
No.
It showed up from Pluto TV.
Ugh.
That would be miserable.
The Apple shows up, but not Haunted Honeymoon.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, it's something wrong with the rights to that movie. It's got to be it's some issue that they don't have streaming rights, and that's why I was like, somebody certainly must have uploaded it to YouTube, but I don't see it anywhere.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I wasn't that crazy about that movie, believe it or not. There's parts of it I liked. I mean, I did, but
Bill and Ted's.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, man, I saw that not too long ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it wasn't like last month or anything, but it was a few months back. So like somebody uploads the original Haunted Honeymoon from like black and white. It's there.
Oh.
But they're not giving us the new ones. No one's uploaded the new one.
Dude, one of my favorite 80s movies, which is I think an underrated movie and nobody talks about it a lot, is Summer School with Mark Harmon.
Oh. Yeah. Yep.
And it's free on Netflix.
Yeah. All right, so if we I'm going to put another movie on there because I like it, honestly. If I'm going to sit back and watch a movie of one of these two movies more often, this is crazy. I love Revenge of the Nerds. It's a great movie.
Hmm.
But do you know the sequel, Revenge the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise?
Yeah.
I will watch that more often than the original. I don't know what it is about that movie. Maybe it's because I went there with my whole class of 7th graders in school, and
What?
we all went there. So there's a whole story behind that, dude. Oh yeah. And I loved it then. I still love it the same. I could turn it on anytime, watch that movie. I love the music on the soundtrack to that movie. Welcome to Paradise. It's really good. So I would, I'd so much as venture to say, or Nerds 2 on the list too. I don't know if did you like Nerds 2? Do you
It was
remember?
all right.
I
Or they're,
thought
or they're trapped on the island or
they're
whatever.
in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, they're dealing with the lambdas from at the hotel and stuff. I'm not the lambdas, the alpha betas.
The Omega Moose.
No Omega Me's this time, I don't think. Well, they may have a cameo. We did the Burbs not too long ago. So Mom from the Train was a funny movie, but it also's got a little bit of a. It's kind of gets a little serious too at times, but it's still a comedy for sure.
Dude, let's just watch Disorderlies again.
It's tempting, bro. It really is. We laughed so hard watching that movie, dude. It was like just a good time. I just remember them running around with those people around the halls. They're like holding on to their wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Throw it on the list. Let's just take off on a honeymoon. Throw on Disorderlies, and that's our list. As we're down to 3 people, everyone's leaving. They're literally watching us. What we be talking backstage, planning a live stream. This is what we do. That's how we talk. Oh yeah, Dino, it's legendary. Absolutely, and I think it is in the second one too, because in the second one they go Beastie Boys style, and it is like, yes, I love it.
Do 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 do.
Now that's the original one,
Yep.
and they changed the whole style of the rap in the second one. They're both really great. All right, I'm going to spin the wheel here, guys. So here's our list for everyone who's left. There's 3 of you here. So let me load up the wheel. Hang on.
Wheel. You can be Vanna.
Oh, goodness. Got dye my hair blonde.
Oh, don't forget UHF with Weird Al.
Oh, my gosh. That was a funny movie.
So funny.
Random wheel.
I could watch that all the time.
See, that's like I am with Nerds 2. It's just one of those movies that I can't explain it, but it's almost comforting to watch. Isn't that weird? It's it's what it's like.
Badgers? We don't need no stinking badgers.
Badgers? Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Cooney.
You're so stupid.
Supplies.
Oh gosh.
New guys, Cooney? Stupid. You're so stupid.
What a crazy movie. Revenge of the Nerds. What a list this is. Top Secret. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I like the idea of spinning the wheel between trying to narrow it down.
Hey, what was the last movie? Disorderlies. Honestly, dude, this is maybe the best movie list we've put together. This is every one of these is like A list for me.
Did you put Top Secret on there?
Yeah.
So Naked Gun, Weird Science, Revenge of the Nerds, Top Secret,
License to Drive,
and Disorderlies.
Honestly, License to Drive is the weakest link in that whole bunch to me.
Yeah. We'll take that out and put UHF in there.
If I take it out, let's just take it out. That way we were narrowing the. I mean, it's up to you. We can leave it, but
no, take it out and put UHF.
Really? I mean, look at this list of 5 movies: Naked Gun, Weird Science, Revenge, Top Secret, and Disorderlies. Every one of those are bangers, man. Those are all. I mean, not the UHF isn't. I mean, It is funny,
Uh-huh.
I'm just not in the I'm not in the mood for UHF. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. All these 5 movies, I go any of them would be amazing to watch. I'm on board. Let's go. Heck. How are you? You good with all these?
Sure.
I mean, they all sound fun to me. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, no, there's 4 people now. Here we go. That's right, Heavy Metal. It was in Tucson for the nerds. That's right. University of Arizona. Dino, we would watch you guys just sit around and chat up for hours. This is what
Dino would
Mike
be the
and I
only one
do,
there.
man. What's that?
Dino would be the only one there. It'd like drop down to like 1.
That's true, Dino. Everyone would be long gone, but you'd still be here. That's awesome, man. This is what we do, man. We're planning stuff. This is how we do it. So we're pulling the curtain back for you guys. Okay, one more time. So everyone that's here, I'm assuming, because you're still here, that you're going to come back in 1 hour to watch the movie with us. That's just my assumption and my hope. So here we go. I'm going to put this, hold on. I'm going to share the screen so you guys can see again.
I can see clearly now. The rain is gone.
We're not monetized, so we can sing away.
We can sing our song.
That's right. Don't have to worry about copyright claims.
It's going to be a bright, sunshiny day.
Stream.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Naked Gun, Weird Science, Revenge of the Nerds, Top Secret, and Disorderlies. This is an A-list of 80s comedy. Every one of these movies. Honestly, if we could stay up all night, I'd watch them all. But we can't. So we're only going to be able to watch one. Dino says, I would absolutely be here with my tub of popcorn. That's great. All right, man. Ready, Mike?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Here's going to be the movie. We're spinning.
Oh,
What's it going to be? Come on. Come on. Weird Science.
Weird Science.
Dun, 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 dun.
It kicked me in the family jewels.
Give me the keys.
What?
Give me the keys.
Okay.
Give me the nuts in the family jewels.
The family juice. No.
Okay, Weird Science it is. I'm not gonna lie. I am excited about it because I love all these movies.
Nice. Kelly
I was-
LeBrock, man.
I was kind of hoping for another different one, but
I
that's
know.
okay.
Naked
I was-
Gun
Well,
or Revenge of the Nerds. I mean,
actually, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I think I was really personally
I
hoping.
was too.
I was kind of personally hoping for Disorderlies, Revenge of the Nerds, or Top Secret. I think those were my. I was kind of hoping for one of those 3. But even though I like these, I like all of them.
Yep. Mine were. It was a toss up between Disorderlies and Weird Science. I just haven't seen Weird Science in a long time.
Yeah.
And then Top Secret. So
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Heavy Metal
All
Beer
right.
Club. I don't think Katie's here.
that's funny. All right, so guys, I gotta set this stream up while Michael's putting his girls down. To bed, not putting them down.
Yeah.
So I'll be setting this up for Weird Science. It's going to be 9:45 Central. It's an hour from now. We're going to start it. So come back or stay tuned for the link. It's going to come up on the channel in about 15 minutes. It'll all be set up. Heavy Metal's like, you can switch to Disorderlies if you want. I know. It's
gotta
tempting.
stay by the rules.
We'll play by the rules, And again, Weird Science is great, but
Yeah, it's a great movie.
it's a lot of fun.
Isn't that who directed it? That's
John Hughes.
John Hughes. That's what I thought.
Yep, for sure.
So many
It's-
great parts.
So many parts. Yeah, for sure. I love the part whenever Anthony Michael
spoilers.
Hall. Well, I mean, has everyone seen it? Has everyone seen Weird Science? Just let me know in the chat. But there's that, remember that scene where he's. I'll just make sure everybody's seeing it. Then it doesn't matter. All right.
just
Well,
go
look,
ahead.
I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
say it. If you haven't seen it, just turn your sound down. Starting now. Remember this scene when he's in the Porsche at the mall, and the Donnie Jr. and his buddies out there,
Uh-huh.
and Robert and Anthony Michael Hall is leaning towards Kelly, and he's like looking towards your ear. I just die. It's like, oh my gosh, you dork. I love it though. It's like amazing.
Yeah. I just love it when the grandparents come and they get frozen and stuck in the
Oh,
closet.
bro. That's so awesome.
What's
So,
wrong with
Dino,
grandma? She looks really happy.
you should just think of it like this, boys. They're not aging.
Yeah.
So, Dino, you've not seen the movie? You just
Oh
saw
my gosh.
clips?
Oh,
What?
Dino.
Oh, Dino. Okay,
It's
buddy.
fantastic.
Wow. Okay, we're not going to say any more about the scenes, other than to say Dino, you got to come back and watch it in an hour. You got to be here, buddy.
Dino just typed something. It takes a little while for it to come up on
Yeah,
StreamYard.
it does. Oh, oh gosh, I didn't think about that. Oh, somebody's gonna clip that out as a GIF and just repeat it over and over.
Super chat.
Super chat, yeah. Oh yeah, you know, kind of like the music we have for our bloopers, you know. All right, guys. Well, let's get on out of here. I got work to do. I gotta get thumbnails made. I gotta get this thing set up. Michael's got to get his kids in order so that they're all taken care of. So we'll meet you all back here in 1 hour, or actually less than that now, approximately 55 minutes.
Well, knowing us, it'll be an hour.
It'll be an hour. So yeah, it'll be an hour. Just you can bank on it. I hope all of you back, Heavy Metal Beer Club and Dino and the other two amazing folks who are watching. I hope you'll all four come back and we'll try to gather up some more troops.
We hope
Come join us.
We hope you enjoyed Roger Christian. We sure did.
Yes, Roger Christian. Again, what an amazing interview. What an amazing guy. So awesome. And he's like, he's ready to come back. I mean, I love that at the end. He's like, we'll do a part 2.
Do a movie watch with the director's cut.
Bro, we need to do a movie watch of Star Wars or something, man. That I'm telling you. That can you imagine doing a movie watch with Star Wars with Roger Christian? Yeah. That is ridiculous, man.
We just say, hey, Roger, you want to do it tomorrow? He's like, let's make it happen.
Let's go.
Let's make it happen.
We're temporarily postponing Spaceballs for Roger Jackson's return. We're gonna watch
Roger Jackson.
I mean, Roger. Dude. Can you tell I screamed in my DNA? Roger L. Jackson. Roger Chris doesn't. That's why every time I ever say Roger is Roger Jackson.
Hello.
Roger L. Christian. Roger Christian.
Hello, Luke.
Is back. Yeah.
Do you like sci-fi movies?
Hello, Luke. Yeah. Oh, what color lightsaber do I have? Wow, that was funny. Okay, so Dino's coming back. Heavy Metal Bears Club's coming back. All right, it's going to be a party.
Yes.
Weird Science in 1 hour right here. Stay tuned. Once I have the stream set up in the next 15 minutes, you'll have a link. So be sure you guys have all hit the bell icon to get and hit all for notifications. Otherwise, you're not going to get notified that it's out there. But come on back, guys, in an hour.
Come on, come all.
Come on, come all. And yes, and we're going to have this this interview of Roger. We're going to cut that out and condense to just the interview. Cut out the timer at the beginning, everything, and we'll be posting that as a separate video, probably sometime between now and the weekend. And yeah, so that way we can share that interview with folks. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, well,
all right, guys, we are out for now. So one last time, until an hour. This is Steven.
And this is Michael, and we are the Movie Bros React. Thanks for coming, man.
Yep. See you in 1 hour. Adios.